Network's second rendition of Black Heroes in the Hall of Fame. The original production was written by Flip Fraser, who's currently on tour in England. I hope you enjoy our version of Mr. Fraser's fantastic work. Will you now all please stand while Jasmine Lee sings the Black National Anthem. welcome you to our 43rd annual tribute night. With no further ado, I would like to welcome your host, the wonderful, the marvelous, the one and only Moms Mabel.
To you. I'm so glad to be here. This is a nice church. Second High, you call it? I want to tell you something before we get started with the show. I'll never forget our granny. You wonder why moms are so hip today? My great-grandmother. Her name was Harriet Smith. And she lived in Bogor, North Carolina. Now this is the truth. She lived to be about 118 years old. She told me she's not gonna let them folks tell you fairy tales. She gonna tell me the truth. She ain't gonna let me be dumb. And when them folks will start telling me about fairy tales, my great grandma gonna tell me the truth. One day she was sitting out on the porch. And I said to her, I said, Granny, how old does a woman get before she don't want no boyfriend? She was about 106 then. She said, I don't know. You gotta ask somebody older than me. She said, a woman is a woman as long as she lives. But at a certain time in a man's life, he gotta go to a place they call over the hill. And when you got to go, son, go like a man. Ain't no need of saying, I ain't going. Oh yeah, you going. And you don't have to be old because your head is bald. And you don't have to be old because your hair is gray. But when your mind starts making them dates that your body can't feel over the hill, brother, I want to thank you so much for being with us here today. I want to introduce our first guest. They're trying to tell me something here on stage, and I don't know what the boy talking about. What you said? They done changed on me here. I want to introduce a good friend of mine, a lady with a beautiful voice, and I want you to welcome my very good friend, Miss Ethel Waters. Let's give it up for her.
Duck.
Irving Berlin heard me sing and asked me to perform in a play called A Thousand Cheers. I was the first black performer in an all-white cast. My next big break came in 1950 when I was asked to play in a role, a wedding, member of the wedding. And in that play, I sang a song, His Eye is on the Sparrow. is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I watches
Another hand here. No, I want to tell you something. I done wrote a book for children. It's 100 years. I lost half of it. But it is something. Y'all calls her Cinderella. I call her Cinderella. Y'all call her Cinderella. Once upon a time, there lived a little girl named Cinderella. She had nice black hair and pretty brown skin. She was colored. Little Cinderella wore very shabby clothes. She couldn't afford nice clothes because she had to pay the note on her boyfriend's Cadillac. And with the rest of her money, she was saving it to get her little brother out of the reform school. Little Cinderella worked for a mean old woman with two ugly daughters. Ugly, ugly. Ugly, ugly. One day, the mean old woman received an invitation to a dance. It was the biggest event of the season. It was a dance they hold each year at the University of Mississippi so that they could choose Miss Ku Klux Klan. The mean old woman and her two ugly daughters left for the dance. Little Cinderella sat down and began to cry. She wanted to go to the dance, but she knew it was impossible. She wanted to call her good friend Martin Luther King, but he was in jail in Birmingham. Little Cinderella heard a knock at the door while she was feeling so low. And guess who it was? It was her good friend Bobby Kennedy, who had two magic wands in his hand, the Constitution and the Civil Rights Bill. What is the matter, little girl, he said. I want to go to the dance at the University of Mississippi, where my boyfriend, James Meredith, goes to school. Oh, yes, he said, I remember him. With one wave of his magic wand, little Cinderella was dressed in a beautiful dress with lace all over it and a ribbon in her hair. She looked down and she had on gold slippers. She ran to the mirror and behold, she had turned as white as snowy bleach. She said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" The mirror said, "Snow White, and don't you forget it." Little Cindy Ella looked out the window and there was a beautiful gold coach out there with a white chauffeur. She ran out the door and Bobby yelled, "Be sure to be back by 12 o'clock, as Caroline wants to go riding on the morning on that horse." Little Cindy Ella was the prettiest woman at the dance. All of the men wanted to dance with her. In fact, she was having such a good time, she forgot what time it was. The clock struck 12. Little Cindy Ella looked down and her dress had turned to rags. She looked down farther and her shoes had turned into sneakers. She looked outside and her coach had turned into a garbage truck. Her chauffeur had turned into pig meat. All of the people at the dance was looking at this little colored girl dancing with the president of the Ku Klux Klan. This story is to be continued. Our trial comes up next week. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I got a special friend, and he's so special to me, and he just makes my heart just flutter a little bit here. I want to introduce you to a very special person. Let me hear you give it up for Mr. Louis Satchmo Armstrong.
When you belong, you looking swell, darling. I can tell, darling. You keep blowing, you still blowing, you still going strong. I in the room, swaying and your band swaying. Well, our favorite tunes from it wind, selling. Before we said good night, we're gonna jump into this number again. Da 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 da. Swell, I can
people in the world since time began. My motto is, if you can't take it, don't take it, let somebody else make it. But you know one thing that Mom is real pleased about? Is that their Peace Corps. I think that's a wonderful thing. Go over there and help other folks in other countries. We should help our brothers and sisters. If more of us would go over and help our brothers, this world would be a better place to live. And you know, the guy now with the Peace Corps people goes over there and they allows them to call home once a week. And the government pays for it. So boy from down home, he went to the Peace Corps. So he went to call his mama one day. And he said, "Hi, Mom, how you doing?" And she said, "Oh, son, I'm so glad to hear your voice. I don't know what to do." He said, "Well, Mom, I'm doing just fine. These people treat me real good over here, Mom, and I done did what you always wanted me to do. I done got married." She said, "Oh, son, I'm so glad to hear that. I don't know what to do. You married?" He said, "Yeah, Mom, I'm married and I'm in love with everything. I married a nice looking color girl." She said, "Bring it on. Well, your daddy, we can sleep on the couch. But Mom, where you gonna sleep?" "Oh, son, don't worry about me. Because as soon as I get off this phone, I'm gonna jump out the window." Ladies and gentlemen, we got a sweet voice in the audience in the room tonight. She's got a lovely voice. And I want you to welcome her and just give it all you got. And I want you to welcome my lovely little child friend, Miss Natalie Cole.
Apollo! You know, it sure feels good being here tonight. You know, the last time I was here, you all gave my family an award for my father. You know, I really do miss him. Oh, I'm sorry. I truly do miss him because he is surely an unforgettable person. And so tonight, I'm going to render to you his favorite selection, Unforgettable. No, stop! Something just doesn't feel right. I don't know what it could be.
ain't right about that girl. But I don't know that girl. You know, she get up here, she was singing. She was missing parts in the song. She was coming in on the downbeat. And she acted like she was singing with her father. Now I'm gonna ask y'all, don't she know her daddy dead? I ain't seen nothing of it, and I know y'all ain't seen nothing either. But she's a sweet child. So I want y'all to just say thank you to her once more and give her another hand. You know, one thing moms is real pleased about being over here at this here church. You know, church ain't like what it used to be when mom come along. When I come along, if you had anything against anybody in church, you sat next to them. And when the preacher wasn't looking, he turned his back and gave him a backhand slap. One time I was sitting up there in church, and I sat next to this old lady who told a lie on me to my mama. And the preacher turned around. I ain't never shouted before in church. I jumped up and back slam, bam! And she said, "You knocked my teeth out." I said, "You mean I knocked your gums out? You ain't got no damn teeth." Ladies and gentlemen, we're especially here tonight to pay a tribute to a wonderful woman. She is just got a golden voice, and I'm telling you, if you think you want to go to church, when she gets through singing, you're going to go to church. I want to have you welcome my wonderful friend, Miss Mahalia Jackson. How y'all doing today? Good. God bless you. Well, they call me Mahalia Jackson, but my friends call me Haley. So y'all can call me Haley. You know, they say that I was the greatest gospel singer in the world. But you know, I don't buy that. I believe God is great. And you know something? My faith in God was the greatest thing about me. And one of the great things I love is the Word of God. Now I remember in Acts, you know, they talked when Jesus told them to remain in Jerusalem until the power came upon them. And so they did what Jesus said in obedience. They went in the upper room. In the upper room. In the upper room. In the upper room where Jesus in red. Go in the upper room where Jesus, oh, in the upper room with my Lord and your God. You know it's there, the upper room. Lord is saying, in the upper room, Lord is in the upper room, talking to Lord. Lord and your God, hallelujah, in the upper room with Jesus, oh, in the upper room, talking with my Lord. Hey, you God, you know it's there. The upper room, it's there. In the upper room, Lord, in the upper room, talking love. In the upper room, in the upper room, in the upper room, where, in the upper room, my Lord, in the upper room, where, in the upper room, in the upper room, Lord, in the upper room, in the upper room, Lord, in the upper room, in the upper room, Lord, in the upper room, well, in the upper room, Lord, in the upper room, talking with my Lord, hey, in your God, oh, in the upper room where Jesus, oh, in the upper room, talking with my Lord, yes, and your God, you know it's there, the upper room, What she wonderful? Yeah, y'all want to go to church, didn't you? I know this church gonna be crowded tomorrow. Amen. I tell you now, I want to thank you all. I just want to thank you all for coming out here tonight to this Apollo. I'm so pleased to be able to stand here and be your host. Now, moms ain't one to mince no words, but I want to thank you, and I want to tell you that when you leave here, now you ain't got to go home. But one thing for sure is you got to get the you know what out of here. But before, I'm going to leave you with a little ditty of my own. I want to tell you about Old Man River. You know about Old Man River. I'm going to let him keep rolling along. Now let me tell you something. I eat potatoes and I wear cotton. But outside of that, baby, it's been forgotten. keep right on rolling along. Now I was born on the Mississippi shore, but I ain't going back down there no more. 'Cause I can't talk no barge, and I can't lift no bell, but I'm getting much too old to spend the rest of my life in jail. I'm gonna stay right here in New York City, where I know I'm free. Right up this Hudson, where I can sing this liberty, and let that old man rhythm, that old man rhythm, let him roll, let him roll, let him roll. Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you.
Where's Father Thomas? Father, there's no truth to the rumor that this is Mr. Hightower's church. Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Even before Berry Gordy coined his long-lasting phrase, the Motown sound, there was a man who had his own sound that will remain in the history of Sacred Heart Church and in the history of the city of Detroit, Mr. Clarence Millard Hightower. Clarence Hightower was indeed a pioneer of gospel music in the Catholic Church. He also helped spread the use of our music in many churches, both Catholic and Protestant, here in the metropolitan Detroit area. For that and many other things, he will be long remembered. He was a friend to many. He was a mentor to many. He was an inspiration to many. He is missed by those he inspired and by those who remember him as friend. In many ways, Mr. Hightower was a true rebel. In the days when mixing denominations was unheard of, he took the Sacred Heart Choral Ensemble to a variety of churches of many denominations, here in metropolitan Detroit, as well as in Canada. In the days when certain songs were blacklisted by some high Catholic authorities, Mr. Hightower carried on. He introduced some of us, to plain song and Gregorian chant, to light opera, and to the grand operas of Verdi and Puccini and others. He led us through the works of Bach and Beethoven, and he taught the choir God's Word in many different languages: French, Latin, Italian, German, and of course English. And let me just add, the Negroes in those days were accused of being lazy-lipped, but we performed. As a matter of fact, I can still remember us in the choir room preparing for one of our concerts. It should be noted that the choir was never a rich one. Our attire was seldom formal. We wore just anything we had. You know that choir prayed and prayed. They prayed that God would send a special blessing to them that day so that they could sing his praises in the best way they could. You know, I still hear them singing today. That old sweet song. What is it they're singing? Yes. We are on our way. We will shout and tell the story how we made it over. We're on our way to glory. Clarence Millard Hightower passed away, leaving a 41-year legacy, a history, and a story that should be proclaimed for generations to come. In his honor today, we have prepared a special tribute to a man who is in the Sacred Heart Hall of Fame, Mr. Clarence Millard Hightower. The musical tribute is his favorite song, Shine on Me. It will be rendered by the Sacred Heart Choral Ensemble. The pictorial tribute was constructed by Mrs. Maxine Adams, Mrs. Almeda White, and Mrs. Kay Churchill.
potential threat to this country's illegal actions. No wonder the education of the slave was outlawed during our tumultuous time. However, through the efforts of many educators, we have struggled to overcome many repressions, for it is realized and understood that knowledge is power. To reiterate the importance of education, a Detroit teacher wrote these words to share with her students and to stand as a constant reminder as to why they come to school. Realize how black people have had to struggle. Appreciate your rights and your freedom. However, you will not know how to struggle or what to struggle for unless you are educated. Educate yourselves while you can. Remember, ignorance and illiteracy in this day and time are unforgivable and inexcusable. At this time, we'd like to showcase educators who have struggled for the cause. Our first is Mrs. Fannie Richards.
Mom and Dad, I am truly grateful to God for having been born to free parents in Fredericksburg, Virginia, many years ago, and I truly appreciate the fact that I received my early education in Ontario. But I cannot just sit back and allow the racial injustices that I see continue. Don't think for 1 minute that I am ungrateful, because I'm not. The most has been the greatest parent.
Fanny, I sound like something's bothering you. You want to tell us about it?
I am just frustrated with the way blacks are being treated. It just is not right.
Fanny, my dear, of course you're right. But just look at what you've accomplished. And after all, you are just like your dad. You've earned yourself a position as teacher of the Detroit school. Here and now, in 1868.
Father, I know, and you're right. I am proud of all of my accomplishments. But there is still just so much prejudice in this city. First of all, this city still maintains separate schools. Our Negro children are not allowed to go to school with white children. And second of all, they are not given adequate books or supplies to function.
But Fanny, just think. You'll be able to teach in one of the 3 black schools here in the city of Detroit. I think that's wonderful. We think that's wonderful.
That's right. Sure. What about all the inequality? There is just too much racism in this city. And I am determined to fight for integrated schools. Look, I need the help of both you and you. If we don't stand for something, we will fall for anything.
We agree, Fanny. We really do agree.
The Richards family took an active role against the school board. Their case against the board went through the local courts to the Supreme Court in Lansing, guided by John Bagley, who later became the governor of Michigan. Even though Fannie Richards and her family fought against the board for integration of the schools, she was retained, as she should have been, as one of the 3 Negro teachers in the mixed schools of the city and rendered 47 years of service. Thank you.
Actually, I'm so proud of my grandmother, even though I never had a chance to see her. He He died before I was born. However, my grandmother, Miss Mary Diane Robinson, my mom and my dad have been so helpful in my understanding of things my grandfather's done.
Let's take a look at some information your grandfather here. First, he graduated in the top of his class at the University of Detroit. Secondly, he was rejected from Detroit's receiving constable internship program. I also understand that he's never forgotten that day, and he never forgave the insult. Your grandfather went on to complete his internship in St. Louis. What happened to your granddad after he completed his internship?
Well, he returned to Detroit in 1934 and joined his staff at the Parkside Hospital. Grace Hospital was to come on the courtesy staff, but refused to promote him even after he became a diplomat at the American Board of Surgery.
Wasn't he invited to join the staff at Providence Hospital? And didn't he become one of its senior attending surgeons?
Yes, well, he was an associate attending surgeon at the Sinai.
What other achievements are you aware of?
Well, he was the first black delegate to Michigan Medical Convention and sponsored a successful resolution opposing racial discrimination and segregation in Detroit area hospitals.
That's fantastic. The resolution was certainly needed. I understand that a middle school on the east side of Detroit, Venus G. Robinson, was named for him. What did he do on the educational subject?
Well, he returned to Detroit in 1952 and joined the staff at Parkside Hospital. He was also on the school board, one of the first black people on the school board, and served as president and vice president of the Detroit Board of Education.
Was this a satisfying experience for you?
Unfortunately, my grandfather was criticized by many. Some said he was a heretic and out to destroy the Detroit school system. Others said he didn't push past them. But my grandmother always said he just can't decide criticism.
It seems to me like your grandfather was a distinguished warrior who fought hard for equality and justice.
Yes. My grandmother always reminded me of his battle cry. Be the best, even if you dig ditches. Try to be the man behind the machine, not the guy pushing the shovel.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson, grandson of the late Venus G. Robinson. Do you have any family anyone here?
Yes, I didn't stand. First is my grandmother, Miss Mary Diane Robinson. Eileen Robinson. My mother, Diane Foster Robinson. My father, Fred Robinson. And Eileen's daughter, Patrice Robinson.
Turn around.
Finish your homework last night when you were busy teaching literature? Wow, what's up? Did you see that?
Must be thinking in the club. Anyway, yeah, I finished my homework. What, you think I don't want to be successful like the people were studying about?
Larry, did you see that? You must have made a wrong turn. Instead of the way to school, it looks like a dream almost walked in this bar. Last night, I had a dream about people we've been studying. Did you know that Dr. Daniel Hale Williams had some dining room table to operate on? Well, back in my day, I operated on a dining room table. It wasn't easy. I was the first successful black person to operate on a dining room table. In 1883, I received my medical degree. I had to make sure that everything was clean. The floors and walls were scrubbed. They had fresh sheets on. They had fresh, clean white sheets on the table, and they had boiling water on to sterilize my instruments.
open heart surgery and advanced studies of the heart.
I don't know if I could be a doctor of science.
You're always putting yourself down. You know about Ben Carson, don't you?
Yeah. He's a native Detroiter who reached international acclaim as a neurosurgeon.
You know, man, I'm not proud of my ways, y'all. I used to have a bad temper growing up. Always used to get in a fight. Just looked at me the wrong way. I went to school here in Detroit, and now I'm a medical doctor. I graduated from Southwestern High School and went on to the University of Michigan. I'm a successful neurosurgeon who successfully separated Siamese twins joining the brain. Thank you.
I remember reading about a lady flying on one of my reports. I wonder how it was to be a black female wanting to fly.
Let me tell you, it was not easy. You know, I first became interested in flying during World War I. I'd seen a newspaper clipping about military airplanes. And you know, after the war was over, I began to pursue my ambitions to become the world's first Negro female aviator. I searched the entire city of Chicago, trying to find a flight school who would train me. But because I was a black female, I was denied. But I didn't let that stop me. My persistence paid off for me in 1920 when I met Robert S. Allen. He was a black newspaper publisher. Along with his help and all the money that I had saved to continue my college education, and the French he suggested I learn, I went on to France, where I trained with the best aviators France had to offer. Parlez-vous français? I guess not. I went on to Germany to earn my international aviator's license. And you know, I was so inspired by flying, I dreamed of owning my own aviation school for Negro men and women in France, but I didn't have the funds. So I began to do what is known as barnstorming. I did tricks in the air for money, sometimes landing on farms. And do you know I even slept in barns? I sometimes performed in Congress. And then that day, April 1926, I was 33 years old. The Jacksonville Negro Welfare League approached me with an offer that would give me enough money to begin my school. One night, while rehearsing for that event, with no seatbelt and no parachute, I had my brain in this nosedive, and I couldn't recover. Needless to say, my life had ended. But you know, though my life was short, I opened many doors for Negro aviators throughout this country, if not the world. And in my honor, a group of pilots formed the first all-Negro Aviators Association, and they called it the Bessie Coleman Aero Club.
To continue her dream, African Americans could be PIs just like Miss Coleman. We have been able to overcome racism in every form. Miss Coleman was able to not only become an aviator, but to live with different people in different countries.
We have sat here and talked about dream catchers. Dr. Daniel Hill Williams, the heart surgeon. Bessie Coleman, the woman aviator. And Dr. Ben Carson, the neurosurgeon. I guess
pastime. Millions of Americans love and enjoy this game. But sadly, baseball, a wonderful game of baseball, also reflects the dark side of American life. Where it takes its place in our culture, in our history, with an ugly scar, inflicted on it by racism. For at the time when baseball came of age, as a professional sport, cultural force, and an economic gold mine, it had an unwritten, unofficial, but strictly enforced bylaw. No blacks allowed. That didn't mean that blacks couldn't play baseball, but just that they were not permitted at its highest level, Major League.
Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? How's everybody? My name's Leroy. You might know me better by my nickname, Satchel. Satchel Paige. I was given that name back in Mobile where I grew up. They used to carry suitcases or satchels down from the railroad station. And one day I made off with one of those satchels. My best friend gave me that nickname. I've had it ever since. 1924, at the age of 18, after I got out of reform school, baseball was very big in America. Reform school, though, that's where I learned how to play baseball. They had some great white teams and good white players. But they didn't let blacks play alongside them. So we formed our own team, our own league, the Negro League. Didn't take me long to move up to one of the top Negro teams, the Pittsburgh Crawford. And that's where I met Josh Gibson.
All right now, Sam, we're going to talk about it. You better have your back straight.
Oh, Josh, you know I wouldn't say nothing bad about you. Some said that you were the greatest hitter of all time. They used to call you the Black Babe Ruth.
Yeah, well, others say the Babe is the white Josh Gibson. I know I hit the ball far as hard as he did. In fact, I did something that he never did, that nobody else ever did. I hit the ball clean out of Yankee Stadium.
Fire. Remember that time back in Pittsburgh? You hit the ball fire. I mean, that ball just disappeared. Everybody's looking around for the ball, they can't find the ball. The umpire starts looking, he can't find the ball, so he gives you a home run. Amazing thing happened though. Next day in Philadelphia, we was playing a different team. They had that same old umpire though. When all of a sudden, out of center field, here comes the ball. And the center fielder catches it. Then that old umpire run up to you and say, Gibson, you're out! Yesterday in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we had some great times. It was a hard life. I mean, sometimes you play in organized leagues, but most of the time, you was barnstorming, traveling from town to town, going up against whatever team played. And we always had trouble finding a restaurant we could eat,
Places where we could sleep. Sometimes we just stayed at people's homes and ate whatever they could provide us with.
and all that travel was pretty hard, too. I mean, while the major leaguers were going first class, we were piling into cars and buses, sometimes having to drive all night.
We didn't have half the facilities that the white players had, but we were just as good as them, and sometimes even better. They just allowed us to play against them.
But we sure didn't get paid as well as they did.
I don't know about you, but I got some of the top payment. But I had to pitch all year and constantly keep changing teams in order to do it.
But you were good. Some say you were one of the greatest pitchers of our time. Man, sometimes your fastball was unhittable.
Oh man, you must mean my long time. That ball would just rise up when it got to the bat. Or my B ball. That ball would hum like a bee as it went past the bat. Then you had my jump ball, my trouble ball, my midnight creeper, and my midnight rider. Eventually, later on, though, I perfected my hesitation pitch. I would just hesitate and stop
before I threw the ball. That would just totally screw up the batter's time. How about those times when you were calling the outfielder as if to say you weren't going to let them hit the ball out there anyway? But at the time I promised to strike out the first 9 hits. You know, we had other great players too, like Turkey Stern. He was a terrific outfielder and spent most of his career right here in Detroit. Outfielder? Remember Cool Papa Joe Bell? Cool Papa was fast. That boy was so fast, he could go from first to third on a bunt. That boy was so fast, he could flip off the light switch and be underneath the covers before the room got dark. And our terrific infielder, Lee Johnson and Buck Lee. And we had a good pitcher named Smokey Joe Williams, but he wasn't as good as me, though. Not at all. How about that other great pitcher, Lou Foster? The guy's nickname by being Lou Waddell, who was one of the best pitchers in the majors at the time. We had some great teams back then. About the Kansas City Monarchs, the Chicago American Giants, the Homestead Braves, the Pittsburgh Crawford, and the Newark Eagles, the Detroit Stars.
Satchel Paige did eventually pitch in the majors. He broke in with the Cleveland Indians in 1948 at age 42, the oldest rookie ever in the major league. He even pitched effectively in the majors when he was almost 50 years old. Josh Gibson died in 1947 in January, the very year that Jackie Robinson broke in with the Dodgers. So that Josh never played in the majors, never saw blacks play in the majors. In 1971, a special section was created in the Baseball Hall of Fame for the Negro Leaguers. Satchel Paige, first inductee. All right. A year later, Josh Gibson and Buck Leonard were also inducted, followed by 7 others. Well, Satchel, you've had such a great and a long career. Maybe you'd like to give us some tips so we can all live as long and be as good as you are.
Why, I tell you, avoid fried meat, which angry up the blood. Walk and jangle gently as you walk. Never go too fast. Avoid the society rumble. Society rumble ain't restful. Never, but never run. Walk. Above all, don't look back, because somebody might be gaining on you.
Wrote Malalo, which opened in October 1935 at the Vanderbilt Theater and ran 373 performances. The second longest run by an African-American playwright. Mr. Hughes was a literary artist that upcoming playwrights, looked to for encouragement and guidance. Langston Hughes, like many African-American playwrights, have struggled with their plays, not because the literary works were inferior, but because true Negro life was not always a sought-after subject. In addition to being a playwright, Mr. Langston Hughes wrote a multitude of memorable poems. We feel this poem, Freedom's Plow, is an explosive work to remind us that it took all races working together for the benefit of this nation. And if we promote equality and justice for all, which is the premises this wonderful nation is built on, then we must strive for true equality and true justice for everyone and recognize accomplishments of all its people. Together our nation will succeed, divided it won't. Freedom's Plow.
With billowing sails, the galleons came, bringing men and dreams, women and dreams, and little bands together, heart reaching out to heart, hand reaching out to hand. They begin to build our land. Some were free hands seeking a greater freedom. Some unventured hands hoping to find their feet. Some were slave hands guarding in their hearts to see the free. With
black hands held the plow handles, axe handles, hammer handles, launched the boats, and whipped the horses that fed and housed and moved America.
All these hands made America.
Labor! Out of labor came the villages and the towns that grew to cities. Labor! Out of labor came the rowboats and the sailboats and the steamboats. Out of labor came the wagons and the stages. Out of labor came the factories and the foundries, came the railroads. Out of labor came the markets and the markets, the shops and the stores. The mighty products, molded and manufactured, sold in ships, and shipped the wide world over.
Out of labor, white hands and black hands, came the dream, the strength, the will, and the way to build America.
Now it is me here and you there.
Now it's Manhattan, Chicago, Detroit, and Washington, D.C.
Seattle, New Orleans, Boston, and El Paso.
Now it is the USA.
Throughout history, African Americans have used poetry as a vehicle of expressing their feelings of grief, sorrow, pain, anger, frustration. Please indulge with me for a moment while you listen to a piece of poetry that I wrote expressing my feelings. I cried for you in the 7th, 8th, again 9th grade. I cried for you. You were so brave, so young, not much older than I at the time. You poor thing. It was horrible what they did to you and your people. The burning ovens, concentration camps, gas chambers. And Frank, I cried for you. And you, being all cramped up in that small living quarter, unable to move for hours, for days, and then the discovery, the killing, the murder. Oh yes, Anne Frank, I cried for you. But did your people ever? What about the rapes, the castrations, the lynchings, the killings, the beatings, slavery, segregation, oppression of my people? What, Anne Frank, makes your Holocaust any more meaningful, any more significant, any more appalling than mine, than that of my people? Oh yes, Anne Frank, I cried for you, but did your people ever And now, I would like for you to share in listening to some great poetry written by some great African Americans. Nikki Rosa, Nikki Giovanni. Childhood remembrances are always a drag if you're black. You always remember things like living in woodlawn with no inside toilet. And if you become famous or something, they never talk about how happy you were to have your mother all to yourself. And how good that water felt when you got your bath from one of those big tubs that folks in Chicago barbecue in. And you know, when you talk about home, they never understand it. You understood their feelings as the whole family attended meetings about holiday. And though you remember, your biographers never understood your father's pain as he sells his stock and another dream goes. And though you were poor, it is not poverty that concerns you. And though they fought a lot, it isn't your father's drinking that makes any difference, but only that you and everybody were together, and you and your sister have happy birthdays and very good Christmas. I really hope no white person ever has cause to write about me, because they never understand that black love is black wealth. And they'll probably talk about my hard childhood and never understand that all the while I was quite happy. Sign it, Ballard, Gwendolyn Brooks. Oh, Mother, where is happiness? They took my love and tallness to war, left me lamenting. Now, I cannot even guess what I could use my empty heart cup for. He won't be coming back here anymore. Someday, this war will end. But Mother, where is happiness? Take the soul food. I do not care to taste pig, of either Dutch or French, or fowl or jowl. I want caviar, filet, sherry champagne, and not because this wipes the vein, just because I'm in trouble. I've been beat enough, TV'd enough, poke fed, knock-kneed, split leg, bloodhound enough. And I've been hard last enough, and fire first enough, sugar watered my thirst enough, cried enough, died enough. Lord knows I've been deprived, but somehow survived enough to keep ties on the heart. Black eyed peas and the grits, the high butter first pork chops and gravy sauce. I want apple juice, baked Alaska, something suave and cool, because I've been a faithful fool for 40 years and a mule. And I've been slight enough, uptight enough to eat high on the hog. Phenomenal woman, Maya Angelou.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute. I never pursue a fashion outside. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride in my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman. Phenomenal. Phenomenal woman. That's me. I walk into a room just as cool as I feel. And to a man, the fiddle stand or fall down to the knee. Then they swarm around, a hive of
send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll sit at the table when company comes. Nobody'll dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am American.
Mother to Son by Langston Hughes. David! David, get in here! Woo! Told you about babysitting this kid. Well, son, I tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal snake. Well, it's had tacks in it, has splinters and boards torn up, and places with no houses. Well, all that time I've been climbing on, honey, and reaching landing, and turning corners. And sometimes I'm going in the dark, when there ain't been no light. So don't you stand right there because you find it kind of hard. Don't you fall now, honey, because I'm a steel girl. And I'm a steel girl. And like me, honey, ain't been no.
Assassination, be real cool. Aki Mahabuta Don Lee. It was wild. The bullet hit high, the neck, the throat, everywhere. From the motels, from under the cars and the bushes, from around the corner and across the street, out of the garbage cans and the rat hole and the earth. They came running with their guns drawn toward the king, as if the king was going to fire back himself. They came running, all in the wrong direction. Super cool, ultra black, tan purple had a beautiful shade. He had a double nature that would put the sisters to shame. His dashiki were tailor-made and his beads were imported seashells from some black country that I never heard of. He was triple hit. His tikis were hand-carved out of ivory, straight from the motherland. He would greet us in Swahili and say goodbye in Yoruba. Ooh, jamming, he be so cool and intelligent. Cool was so cool that he was uncool by other niggas cool. So cool, pop cool, icebox cool, that his wine didn't even have to be cool. It was air-conditioned cool. Cool, so cool that he made me cool. Now ain't that cool? Cool. Was so cool that he forgot after York, Chicago, Detroit, that we had to hit cool, that to be black is to be very hot. Whoa! Let's give our poets another round of
Yeah, he'll tell me.
relates to marriage. A marriage experiencing internal conflict and struggle. The situation, magnified by opposing forces, good and bad, attempt to sway the couple to conform. We are sharing with you an act from A Cabin in the Sky. The character of the husband, Little Joe, chooses the sweepstakes, of which the devil has arranged. Along with the win, he gets to meet George Brown, coercing Little Joe to leave his loving wife, Petunia. In the midst of the coercing, Petunia walks in on the conversation. Without giving Little Joe a chance to explain, she throws him out of the house. Little Joe leaves with George Brown. Petunia, the Christian woman that she is, weakens to the devil's temptation, deciding to patronize Jim Henry's nightclub.
Good evening, Riff Raff.
Uh-oh.
I thought I'd stop by to give you a joint to walk through.
Petunia, is that really you?
But not the same people who used to bust her, break her back, bust her husband. You
Oh, you're beautiful, Petunia.
don't say that shit before we talk to your girlfriend.
Where'd you get the clothes?
And don't you worry about that, Pop. The main thing is you paying for it.
Of course I did.
And that ain't all I'm gonna get before I'm through.
Don't talk like that, Petunia. You know I still love you.
You know, you should be a little more careful what you say to your wife.
Georgia, you stay out of this.
You get my money. And I ain't gonna say. Now, Joe, just so dumb, you can't see what she said. Now, honey, we both want the same thing. But I'm still the wife. All right. And I got the inside track.
Petunia, don't talk like that. Well, I was coming around to see you.
Don't even strain yourself, honey. My lawyer is coming around to see you.
What for?
Money, what you think? And if you ain't got my hair, start sprouting wings.
What's wings?
That's the only way you gonna get out of jail. I know all about that sweepstakes money. And I'm solid collecting my hair. Cash on the line.
Well, I don't know if I got that much left.
No? Then you show in the right suit to be laid out in. Ain't it about time for you to get into that cooch dance?
Ladies, Georgia, remember you're in the presence of a lady, you better act like one.
Yes, she do, Chuck, but she ain't got what I got. Man, honey, not only do I have what you have, but I got a whole lot more. Now that's the main thing you got that I don't want. And if I see any more secondhand junk laying around, I'll pass that on to you too, honey. Jim Henry, I'll shoot you for some craps with your own dice.
I think I'll save myself the trouble and just give you the drink. What will it be, Miss Jackson?
Why don't you give me a double king call?
Coming up.
Right.
There you go, ma'am.
Right now. Aren't you that gentleman? Ain't you that gentleman that used my husband for target practice?
Yes, ma'am, I do believe I had that pleasure.
Then permit me to buy you a drink.
No, ma'am, permit me to buy you a drink.
You know, Mr. Johnson, I usually don't drink with strangers, but we got so much in common that we don't like the same people.
Petunia, you can't act like this.
Oh, I can't? Jim Henry, I hear you got to work yourself up with an orchestra?
Yeah.
Well, get the boys to put me in the mood. I suddenly feel I want to put out a tune here.
All right.
I suddenly feel a little urge coming on.
Enjoy music together.
been sheltered, and that I needed to stand up and fight for what I believed in. Now, deep down inside, I knew that he was right, but I couldn't see it nothing bad. We'd be friendly all week. Then on Friday, we'd almost always find something to disagree about. Then along would come Saturday and the weekly campus boogie, the only social event of the campus. Well, Major would either go alone or take another girl, and I'd find another guy. And I'd be sure that Major saw us together. Then on Sunday, we managed to find each other and make up. Now that was great fun. But I guess deep down inside, Major was just trying to get me to understand how he felt about the social problems of our race. I guess he was encouraging me to seek a better life for myself and for my people. Major was so kind and intelligent, so confusing. He was also lovable. And as I think back on Major today, I still feel the same jumble of emotions that I felt then.
Merrily, I truly loved that Merrily woman. I had a pretty clear image of the kind of woman I wanted to marry, and I wasn't ashamed to let her know. There were explanations of the kind of man I was and the things I wanted to do with my life. And you'd understand some of that if you had experienced the things I did in my youth. My father, James Evans, was a quiet, stern, hard-working, God-fearing man who saw to it that everyone in my family worked. My mother and all of us kids. On our farm, we grew vegetables for the table and cottons for cash. My dad usually had more than one job to make ends meet. Over the years, my father even built 2 small houses on our property to rent out. And my mother rented a room in the house to teach us, to bring in additional income. Because of the way my mom and dad cared for themselves and us and didn't receive any handouts, we were respected by communities both black and white. Poor my dad didn't leave no sidewalks in Decatur, Mississippi for no approaching white folks. Oh no, to the contrary. My dad stood tall and acted as a man. Kind of customs we were accustomed to in our little town, in the country store. We had an arrangement, did it all week, and a cash settlement on Saturday. One day there was an argument with my father over the account, and one of those folks in that store called my father a nigger. And when they started toward my father, he picked up a bottle, smashed it on the end of the counter, and dared anyone to come near us or him. He told us kids to go on home. We didn't want to leave, but we obeyed. My brother Charles and I were always testing waters, trying to widen our horizons. Once when Mississippi Senator Theodore Bilbo came to town, running for office, we went to hear him speak. And we heard him say, if we fail to hold high the walls of separation between the races, we will live to see that day when those 2 nigger boys right over there will be asking for everything that is ours by right. And he pointed right at Charles and me. We didn't run either. We stood there and stared right back. It took a long time, though, for me to understand that all white folks weren't racist. Even during World War II, a white lieutenant advised me to stop cursing and to use appropriate language. Because when I returned home, I needed to go to college and to do something with my life. I remember that even to this day. I even remembered how the French treated us when we first arrived, and how after American soldiers arrived and brought their prejudices and racism, things changed.
The story of racism is not just played out in speeches, preoccupied by the horrible realities of the lynching and the hanging, of the bathroom facilities that we couldn't use, the lunch counters that we couldn't sit down in, the stores that we dare not tread. Medgar understood and knew all of these things in the early years of his life. Me, it took a much longer time to understand. And it was my inability to understand that was a great source of conflict for Medgar and I in our early years. Because Medgar profoundly believed that a change would come. When we graduated from college, Medgar took a job as an insurance agent. But within a few years, he was able to work at his true law. He became a field agent for the NAACP in Mississippi. That job too brought a lot of change for our family, where we became subject to stress. And little did I know that I would lose Medgar to the fight, that I would lose him to the cause. But I carry on Medgar's fight. For just recently, I have become president of the National Board of the NAACP.
You go, girl.
Woo!
I sometimes wonder, while thinking about all of these injustices, oppression, racism, which still exist in this country, in this world today, I wonder if it were possible for some of our great leaders, our heroes, to come together from the past and the present, to gather and meet in one room. Would they be able to sit and talk and come up with a resolution for some of these problems? I wonder, could they find a way that the black race could be free today?
Louis Farrakhan, a devoted minister of the Nation of Islam, Elijah Muhammad's student and messenger. Mr. Farrakhan has emerged as one of America's most influential and uncompromising voices. Assalamu alaikum, Minister Farrakhan.
I'm very honored and delighted to have the opportunity to have all of you present on this glorious day. All praises due to Allah.
Yes. And we share your joy and are pleased to be able to come here together in 1996 and discuss the still prevalent concerns of our people. Now, how can Negroes obtain freedom in 1996? Mr. Du Bois.
Dr. William E. Burghardt Du Bois was the first African-American to write books of scholarly merit. Du Bois was a man of remarkable intellectual brilliance from his early youth. He won scholarships that took him through Fisk and Harvard universities, where he earned master's and doctorate degrees. Du Bois authored many scholarly books. Perhaps the most noted is Souls of Black Folk. Du Bois organized the Pan-African Congress, which for the first time brought together a group of thinking, influential blacks of Africa, America, and Europe. Along with several white leaders, the focus of their conversations was the problems of the Negro. Welcome, Dr. Du Bois.
I applaud Minister Farrakhan for having the courage, wisdom, and ability to successfully gather 1 million plus Negro men. The Million Man March should serve to prove as a catalyst for unifying the Negro people today. Long live the spirit of the Million Man March. In 1915, I indicated black men in America had a duty to perform. A duty stern and delicate. A forward movement to oppose a partisan program of their greatest leader, Booker T. Washington. The 3 areas Mr. Washington proposed we as a people should not fight for rights, I advocated then and still maintain now are areas necessary and essential for gaining our freedom. 1, voting. 2, civic equality. And 3, education of our youth.
Yes, that's right.
If each and every one of our people who is eligible to vote would exercise that precious right, we will be in a position to gain civic equality, to educate our youth properly, and ultimately we will gain our freedom.
That's right.
Madam Chair, may I be recognized?
Mr. Marcus Garvey, the chair recognizes you.
Marcus Garvey was one of the 20th century's most influential leaders of black nationalism. In establishing the United Negro Improvement Association, the UNIA, Garvey hoped to build through enterprise and mass education a unified nation of peoples of African blood. A powerful orator, an organizer, and writer, Garvey recruited nearly 1 million UNIA members worldwide. He is often remembered as the father of black nationalism. The late Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. called him the first man on a mass scale to give millions of Negroes a sense of dignity and destiny. We salute you, Mr. Garvey.
With all due respect, Brother Du Bois, our people have worked bravely and diligently to assimilate in this country, to acquire rights, to be treated as men and women, to be regarded as first-class citizens. Unfortunately, our efforts have been futile. I said in 1920, I say today, we are the descendants of a suffering people.
Yes, we are.
The descendants of a people determined to suffer no longer.
That's right.
We must organize the Negro throughout the world into a vast organization to plant the banner of freedom onto the continent of Africa.
That's right.
Although political, social, and economic gains have been realized by some of our people, unfortunately, the vast majority remain oppressed and impoverished. Even today, in 1996, we will gain our freedom in our home, our land, Mother Africa.
The chair recognizes you.
Shirley Chisholm, former Congresswoman, was listed in the Gallup poll's most admired women in the world 3 years in a row. Ms. Chisholm was the first black woman to run for nomination for President of the United States. Ms. Chisholm was a champion civil rights leader. Greetings, Ms. Chisholm.
Mr. Garvey, sir, I certainly agree with your analysis of the problems blacks had and are still having in America. But I strongly believe that our home is on American land.
Yes.
Unfortunately, our ancestors were stolen from Africa and forced to America.
That's right.
But once here, they helped build this country. Their ancestors and their descendants and they deserve to be free in this country. However, black men and women must learn that we have to become politically empowered if we are to become a force to be reckoned with in America. That's right. Once we gain political empowerment, then we'll gain freedom. That's right. That's right.
The chair recognizes you.
Now, Mr. Chisholm is correct. African Americans must be empowered politically and economically in order to gain liberation and end oppression. However, there are other very important issues which must be addressed. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said best. The Nation of Islam has long asked the U.S. government to pay reparations to its black citizens. The same reparations which were paid to Japanese American internees of U.S. detention camps during World War II. Reparations are due and long overdue for the horrific crime of slavery. The same crime which has exasperated itself over the years and continues to oppress African people and their descendants. Just as 1 million plus black men gathered here today in Washington, D.C. to atone for all crimes of the past and the present, America must atone for hers. 20 million lives lost to slave trade alone, for the insidious crime of slavery cannot go unanswered nor unatoned for. African people in America cannot and will not be free until the white oppressive descendants are made to atone for their sins.
That's right. May I be recognized? Mrs. Coretta Scott King, the chair recognizes you.
Coretta Scott King, wife of civil rights activist and leader Dr. Martin Luther King. Mrs. King is an international civil rights champion and also the founder of the King